Hi everyone. So we discussed about behavioral and Freudian ideas. So first, I'd like to discuss with you regarding classical condition theory, which was given by Pavlov, the psychologist. So according to the Pavlov's experiment, you can see it contains 4 stages. So unconditioned stimulus, neutral stimulus, conditioned stimulus. So here, before conditioning, so that means you can see we give the food to the dog, and then that is unconditioned stimulus, and then dog will get salivated. And in the second stage, you can see when they whistling, dogs will get no salivation. But in the third stage, you can see whistling plus food. So when they do that, dog will get salivated. Finally, that is called conditioned stimulus. So we put the condition, and the dog will get condition related to the condition. Dog will get salivated. So without food, dog will get salivated. So that means we make the condition to the dog that when we put whistling, dog feels it will get something and make it salivated. So it's Pavlov's experiment. So here you can see another thing called operant conditioning. So in this case, you can see Skinner box, that is called a special box that created to do this experiment. So it has a box. You can see a lever and a pellet dispenser. That means it will give some food particles into the box, and shock generator is there. So when the rat pulls the lever, some tablets, some foods exactly comes inside the box. Then rat can eat it. So this is a kind of positive reinforcement. This is called positive reinforcement. So that means when it push the lever, it will get something. So example from the day-to-day life, when you think about a home, you think you are giving a present to your child when they get good results for the exams. So that means they are working on a target, because they know, their mind knows they will get something when they do it better. So that is positive reinforcement. And then another thing called negative. So negative reinforcement, do you see that? So according to this experiment, when rat push the lever, if electric shock will be generated, then number of times rat will do it and get the same result. After some times, rat will not push the lever because it knows what will happen when it pushes it. So that's a kind of punishment. So in day-to-day life, you know, for the same experience I gave to you, you think if the child is not gaining enough marks, you will punish the child. Then because of the fear for the punishment, child will work hard. So that's a kind of negative reinforcement on child. Then here you can see level of consciousness. I'll explain that by using the iceberg metaphor. So there are three components in the mind of the people called id, ego, and super ego. So you see what are the components included in these areas. So first, here you can see in the picture id, that means innate desires, pleasure seeking, aggression, sexual impulse. So especially primitive features that are driven by an unconscious need for pleasure. Especially they are targeting, their mind is targeting on pleasure principle. So they are thinking on their pleasure only. So we can see just after birth, they have only satisfaction theories, that means pleasurable things. So kind of selfishness is there for their demand, and especially they have the main theory, I want it now. So the second thing called ego, it is developing at around age 2, focuses on the reality principle. So it reduces the conflict between id and superego by implementing defense mechanisms. So we talk about what are defense mechanisms later. So they will think we need to plan and wait in order to have it. So they have a plan. They are a little bit mature, adaptive for the players and the behaviors. Then finally, when we consider about the superego, they have special high moral, high ethical and the values. So they will develop around age of 5. It is our internal morals. So morality principle is the basement. So that we learn from our same-sex parent that punishes our ego for any wrong thought guilt. So in this case, you can see they think you can't have it because it's not right. So you will be decided by these theories. Then here there are some defense mechanisms, as I mentioned earlier. We'll discuss on these topics, especially called repression, reaction formation, regression, projection, rationalization, and displacement. So there are some other mechanisms also. So we'll discuss what are those. So here you can see, especially we discussed on these topics. So first on displacement here. So what we can see, displacement. So ventilation of intense feeling toward persons less threatening than the one who arouses those feelings. So example, person who is mad at the boss yells at his or her spouse. So that means they are releasing the feelings, intense of the feelings, not at the boss, but at the house. So that's a kind of displacement. Displacement, the meaning is displace to a different place. So then we can see projection. It's a kind of unconscious blaming or unacceptable inclination or thoughts on an external object. So example here you can see. So always think with the example. So man who has thought about same gender sexual relationship but never had one beats a man who is gay. So they are beating the man who is gay because they didn't get any kind of relationship before that incident. So then rationalization. So excusing own behavior to avoid guilt, responsibility, conflict, anxiety or loss of self-respect. So, example, you can see student blames failure on teacher being me. Or man says he beats his wife because she doesn't listen to him. So this is kind of rationalization. They are producing rationales. So they say they do this because of this, but that rationale will not be correct, but they will produce a rationale. Then reaction formation. So that is acting the opposite of what one thinks or feels. So example, women who never wanted to have children becomes a supermom. So reaction formation, they are producing a reaction. It's kind of acting. Person who despises the boss tells everyone what a great boss she is. Then another condition called regression. So what is regression is moving back to a previous development state to feel safe or have needs met. So they are trying to go back to a previous developmental stage, the development stages of the human. So they are trying to go back to the previous development stage and get their needs. So example, 5-year-old child asks for a bottle when new baby brother is being fed. So when the baby is fed by his or her mom, so the older child, he or she also need a bottle. So that means that is called regression. They are trying to go back development stage, earlier stage. Then repression, called excluding emotionally painful or anxiety-provoking thoughts and feelings from conscious awareness. So example, a woman has no memory of the mugging she suffered yesterday. So that means unpleasurable things will be forgotten. So woman has no memory before age 7 when she was removed from abusive parents. So that means excluding emotionally painful or anxiety provoking thoughts. They are excluding that. Then they will not thinking about those and feelings from conscious awareness. And there are some other contents, you can refer those and understand. Then here some more. Then there are different developmental stages according to Sigmund Freud. So here you can see those are oral stage, anal stage, and phallic stage, latency stage, and genital stage. So in oral stage, birth to 18 months until 18 months. So it focuses major site of tension of gratification is a mouth. That's why we call it as oral. So mouth, lips, and tongue includes biting and sucking activities. So basically they use those activities. That's why we call it as oral stage from birth until 18 months. So it is present at the birth exactly. They are they get the pressure with sucking mother's breast milk. So ego develop gradually from rudimentary structure present at birth. Gradually they will develop the ego anyway. Then another stage, 18 to 36 months. So they will get the voluntary actions. Toilet training will be acquired, and anal surrounding area are major source of interest in this stage. Then the phallic stage, 3 to 5 years, genital is focus of interest, stimulation and excitement is there. So penis is organ of interest for both sexes. Then masturbation is common. So during this stage. Then you can see 5 to 11 or 13 years, resolution or ED complex sexual drive channeled into socially appropriate activities such as schoolwork and sports. Then gentle stage, 11 to 30, begins puberty and biological capacity for orgasms. It knows the capacity for true intimacy. So they are looking for a true intimacy kind of relationships also they are looking for. So here again same thing, 0 to 18 months, trust others easily, then difficulty in comprehending when the others' demand unmet. Then inner stage, here previously mentioned. Then 3 to 6 years, sense of severe guilt as punishment for any breaking of moral rules. So here you can see different stages and different things. So thank you for listening.